In today's video, we're going to discuss 3 major factors that could affect your height as a basketball player. And at the end of the video, I'll give you some very easy actionable tactics you can actually implement walking away from this video. Now, this has to be one of the most common questions I get asked. Because as a basketball player, one of the biggest factors determining what position you play, how effective you are on the court, is your height. And obviously being a little bit taller is probably a good thing. And a couple times over the past couple of weeks, I've been getting the question in my DMs, is there anything I can do with my nutrition or anything besides just pure luck that can help influence my height? And we'll dive into that in today's video. Now, the first of the 3 things is pretty obvious, and this one you can't really affect much, you're kind of stuck with it. It's genetics. Genetics is probably the biggest determinant of your height. So most of what goes into determining how tall you are is based on genetics. That's just how it is. Now, what about nutrition? Can you eat certain foods or do certain things that are going to affect your height at all? Now, while there isn't anything that you're gonna do that's going to add X amount of inches to your height, like eat this superfood and grow X amount of inches taller, take this supplement and grow X amount of inches taller, that's not really what happens. But there are things nutritionally that we need to consider that can support maximizing that genetic potential. So the genetic potential is like the main thing, but some people don't really maximize that. So things you can do with your nutrition, and another factor we'll discuss in a few minutes, can help you maximize that genetic potential for your height. The first one being just eating enough calories. Being in a calorie deficit could possibly stunt your growth and development. So if you're someone who really wants to maximize their height, I would definitely recommend not spending excessive amounts of time in a calorie deficit. This is why I cringe so much when I see younger basketball players trying to lose that extra belly fat when they don't even really have any belly fat to lose, and it's also hurting their performance on the court, and it might have an impact on their overall height when they're done growing. So a very simple thing you could do right now is just make sure you're eating enough food. Not only is it going to help you maximize your height and maximize your genetic potential for that, but also in the short term it's going to help you perform better, build muscle, all that great stuff. And the vast majority of teenage hoopers, like I mentioned in a previous video, are going to benefit from not being in a calorie deficit. Now, another interesting factor when it comes to nutrition that could potentially impact height is protein intake. There was an observational study done looking at the protein quality and the average height in certain populations, and they found that a population that ate higher quality protein overall, so more animal products rather than getting all their protein from just plant-based sources, actually had a higher average height. Now, there's a lot of other factors that could go into that, like we just talked about, but it can't hurt to make sure your protein intake is on point. And again, not only is that going to help potentially with allowing you to maximize your height, but it's also going to put you in a position to maximize muscle growth, recovery, things of that nature. So height is kind of like a secondary benefit of these things that we discussed so far. Now, another thing nutritionally that could potentially impact development from a bone development standpoint and just overall bone health and how your bones grow and develop is calcium intake. If you're low in calcium intake, you could be setting yourself up for bone mineral density issues down the line. So making sure your calcium intake is on point is one thing that you could do to maximize the development of your bones. Now, again, is supplementing with extra calcium going to lead to a certain amount of inches added to your height? Not necessarily, but again, just making sure your dietary intake is adequate overall is going to help maximize that genetic potential that you have for your height. And sources of calcium, the obvious one being milk and dairy products, but there's also other sources of calcium like nuts, like leafy greens as well, along with other soy products like soybeans and tofu, tempeh, things of that nature. But really the obvious one where you're gonna get the biggest bang for your buck is gonna be dairy products like milk if you tolerate that. Now, another factor, the third one that we're gonna discuss today, that is overlooked quite a bit, and a lot of younger athletes struggle with this, or not even struggle with this, overlook this and don't take advantage of it, is sleep. Sleep is huge when it comes to just about everything when it comes to your athletic performance, but also when it comes to growth and development and maximizing that genetic potential of your height. Because during the deep stages of sleep, human growth hormone, or HGH, is secreted. You might recognize the term HGH as like a performance enhancing drug, but your body actually secretes it or produces it on its own, and that happens during sleep. So if you're consistently lacking sleep and lacking quality deep sleep, you're gonna struggle with that, and it could potentially limit your growth and development. So one simple thing you could do to really maximize that and maximize a whole bunch of other things on and off the court when it comes to energy levels, on the court performance, and just overall health is gonna be your sleep. And I have 2 videos up on the channel now going over how to do that. So with that, if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure you drop a like on it and subscribe if you haven't already. And speaking of sleep on this topic, because it is so damn important, I'm gonna put some videos up on the screen right now for you to check out They're super short, but in total, there's 6 really helpful strategies that are gonna help you out big time. So go watch that, and I'll see you over there.